Hi, my name is Joelle, and this is my story. When I was in junior high school, is probably the first time that I realized that people thought that I was overweight. And my girlfriends kind of would make comments that, not like mean comments, but just like, why don't you have a salad instead of a hamburger, or things like that. And so I think I started to be conscious of that probably in like the 6th grade. And then, I'm not sure, at some point in my junior high career, I wanted a pair of Jordache jeans because in the 80s, Jordache jeans were the rage. And so my parents, it was a big deal because they were expensive, and my parents actually bought me a pair of Jordache jeans and this Jordache jean t-shirt. And I remember wearing it to school. I was so excited to wear it. And in the lunch line that day, I will never forget that there was a girl standing next to me, and she had the exact same outfit on, and she was like the Barbie girl, a very popular girl. And someone else standing in line said, "Oh, you're wearing the same outfit as Joelle," and she just, without stopping, said, "Oh, she's my pet pig." And I never ever forgot that moment. And I went home and I took those clothes off, and I never ever wore them again. And my parents were like, "Why did you not wear, we spent all this money on these jeans," and it was like, "Nope, I can't wear them. I don't look good in them." And my mom was like, "Why?" And I don't look good in those, I can't wear them. And so that was kind of a defining moment, I guess, when I realized that other people associated me with being overweight or being fat. And I wasn't extremely obese, I was just a little heavier, I guess, than most of the girls in my class. So that kind of continued on through junior high. I started to get a bad self-image of myself, and I obviously tried lots of things to try to eat better, and it just didn't work. And so when I was ready to go into high school, my parents got divorced, and that was kind of another defining, stressful event in my life. And so that caused me to have to go to several different high schools. So I went to a high school for like 6 weeks my freshman year, then a second high school, and then my sophomore year, another high school. So I was really struggling with who I was and what I looked like and how do you make friends, because in my head, I'm the fat girl. That's how everybody sees me, no matter what these new people say about me or if they're nice to me or not. I kind of felt that way. So luckily for me, I decided, you know what? You can play sports. You can be active, and that can help you with this situation. You can feel better about yourself. So I did. I played volleyball. I ran track. To this day, I have no idea why I ran track. I think in my head it was because fat girls don't run track. And so if I ran track, to me, that kind of convinced me that I wasn't a fat girl because I was running, right? Even though I hated running. It was not my thing. It's never been my thing. But anyway, so I actually did slim down considerably, and I don't think people thought I was fat anymore, but in my head, I was still that person. So anytime I was in a group and anybody made a reference about people being overweight or whatever, I felt that that was directed at me, even if it wasn't. And most of those people probably didn't even know me at the point when I was probably really at my heaviest in school, because I had slimmed down considerably by then, by my sophomore year, because of sports. So anyways, but I still saw myself that way. Didn't date much probably in the early years of high school, but when I was a junior, I met a guy, and he said all the right things, you're beautiful, and things that people had never told me besides my parents. But my parents, of course, they have to tell you that you're beautiful, right? They're your parents. So you believe them, but you don't really believe them. And so he said all the right things and just made me feel really, really good about myself. And of course, I fell head over heels in love with him, and I dated him my junior year and into my senior year, and everything was great at the beginning. And then he started I could only spend time with him. So you can't go be with your friends. I don't want you to be in the musical production because that'll take time away from us. And want you to come to my house for dinner and not to your grandparents. So I started to kind of pull away from my friends and family a little bit because I wanted to spend time with him. And initially I made that decision, which was fine, but it progressed into he made those decisions for me. And I felt like I couldn't say no. And it actually evolved into, if I did say no, I really want to go do this, then you're not going to be my girlfriend anymore, and nobody's ever going to love you. I don't even know if he ever told me I was fat, but in my head, yeah, I'm the fat girl, and nobody will ever ask me out again. I'll never get married, and all these things. And so it progressed to that, and he just felt like I couldn't get out of the relationship. And it was very difficult because I had pulled away from my friends and family. And even though at that point in time I knew that it was a bad relationship, he really was starting to make me feel bad about myself instead of good about myself because he controlled me. But because I didn't respect myself and because I didn't have self-confidence, I felt like everything he told me was true. And so eventually I was able, it was very difficult. I just felt like I couldn't say no, and that if I did, I've always been a person who has made the right decisions, did the right thing, kind of a kid. And so for me to say, hey, I made a bad decision, you're right, I shouldn't have dated him, you're right, I shouldn't have ruined friendships over this, I had a hard time with that. And so Eventually I was able to say, hey, no, this is an unhealthy relationship and I do need to get out of it. But that was very, very difficult to do. So eventually I did, and I was able to get away from that and move on. And it's interesting because today I speak in public for a living, and I would never let somebody tell me what I can or can't wear. And yet when I was in that relationship, he would say, don't wear that shirt, and I would not wear that shirt, or don't eat that, eat this, or go here, don't go there. And it's interesting how you can let your self-image make decisions for you that are bad decisions, even when you know they're bad decisions. It just kind of overcomes you. So when I was struggling with self-image, especially in this relationship that I didn't, at the end of it, did not want to be in, but I didn't know how to get out of it, one of my friends stayed with me the whole time. I felt like she was still my friend when a lot of my girlfriends said, you don't spend time with us, you don't do things with us, you're out of the club, kind of a deal. So she was with me the whole time. She always said, I love you no matter what, you're still my friend, you ever need me, I'm here. And she's like that to this day. When I lost my job earlier last year, and because of downsizing, and I was deciding what to do with my life, and I decided to open my own company, she was the person that said, you're gonna be wonderful, you're gonna be great, you're gonna be a star, you should do this. And she's always been there just to support me and make me feel like I'm wonderful. In fact, when I'm with her, I feel like, I'm a movie star, kind of a deal. So it's probably her. I would say that I still struggle to this day with my self-image. People tell me, you look beautiful, or you're so good at what you do, and you're great with people, and I still struggle with that because I still see that fat girl image in my head, which is crazy because I'm 47 years old, that's been a really long time ago. But I still struggle with that, and so one of the things that I have to do is I have to be positive. I have to tell myself regularly, this is who you are, what you're doing makes a difference, you are great, look at all your friends that tell you these wonderful things, you can't see yourself that way. But it's a daily struggle to do that, especially when things happen and you're frustrated or things don't go your way. It's easy to kind of fall back in that and say, that's because I'm this, dumb fat girl kind of a deal. I just still kind of struggle with that a little bit in my head, but it helps to think positively, and I try to teach other people to think positively, but it's not something that just comes naturally. You really have to work at it, so that's one of the things that I think helps me through. I would encourage other people who are struggling with their self-image to do what you can that makes you feel better. So one of the things that I do is I exercise, actually most every morning. And that's hard to get out of bed and go do that, but again, my struggles with my self-image kind of forces me, if you don't do that, then you'll be back where you were. So setting a goal for yourself that helps you improve, I think, is one thing that can help. As I said earlier, positive attitude goes a long way. It's hard to always have a positive attitude, but I really try to focus on that, especially when I'm feeling frustrated. Today's gonna be better, tomorrow, there'll be a different scenario. Those are the things that I do, and I think too, just explaining to people, I think people don't talk about, we talk about a lot of the bad things in this world, but we don't talk about the fact that being overweight isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it is from a healthy perspective because we want our bodies to be healthy, but I think it's stereotypical. People think certain things and make you feel certain ways, and I feel like they think you're trying to help you with the comments that they make, and they probably are, but if that's how you feel on the inside, it really is difficult. So just understanding that who you are on the inside is who you have to see. That's who you are. So you have to kind of ignore the mirror in some cases in your life and just understand that a lot of people out there struggle with that. You're not the only person that's out there. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people are overweight. Statistics show that. And so that is an emotional struggle for a lot of people. You aren't alone. It's not just you. Even if you're the only person in your school or the only person in your office that you think people are teasing for that or making comments to. It's a struggle that's everywhere. So I think just talking about it and the fact that it's real helps people. So if somebody feels like they're in a relationship where the other person is controlling them, and it's interesting because I think you don't realize it at first. You're there, and all of a sudden it's like, I don't know how to leave, and it seems silly to your friends and family because they're like, just tell that person goodbye. But there's a struggle between, I made this decision which was bad, now I realize that, and there's just a lot of struggle with how it's going to feel to be out of that relationship, good and bad, because I wouldn't have started to be in that relationship if I didn't feel like I loved him and he loved me to begin with. But the important thing to do is you have to kind of see what's happening now. You want to go look back to when the relationship started, and that's the fuzzy feeling that you have. So you kind of have to get past that, and you have to say, hey, what's going on right now, and is that the way I should be treated? Should he make me feel bad about myself? Should I have to listen to everything that he says, what I should wear, what I should eat? Those are things that you have to start to realize You know, and maybe in some cases it's abusive. I was lucky that that relationship wasn't abusive, because I think that's kind of the next step in a lot of those relationships where somebody's controlling you. And the fact that you let them control you initially doesn't mean that at any time you can't just say, hey, this is who I am and this is wrong, and you have to stand up to them. But it takes a lot of courage, and I know that that's hard, especially in maybe even more difficult situations that I was in.